Today, I'll be talking about identity crisis. You know, identity crisis, knowing your identity in Christ and your identity in the world. Okay, let's start here. Identity is basically who you are, like what you identify yourself as. You know, I have a story again. Which one I should tell? A story. Hi guys, my life. I'm a living testimony. So yeah, a few years back, I think 5 years ago, yeah, I used to do modeling, right? That's all I ever knew because like Nkulingienza, and that was my life, man. So one time at school, somebody asked me, Guti, who do you think you are? And I was like, what? Who do I think I am? Girl, when I tell you I started naming all the titles I have, let me tell you who I am. I am Miss Cultural Heartland. I am Miss City Council. I started naming all my titles, right? So obviously the class went yo to the other guy who asked me who I think I am, and I was like, yes, I'm the girl. And yeah, that's obviously who I always identified myself as. I didn't have any other thing like outside that. So once I stopped doing modeling, I basically felt like I was losing myself because that's where I based my identity on. I didn't know anything like besides that. Once I lost what I have identified as, I felt like I was losing myself and started looking for my identity in other things. So basically, if I were to ask you right now, Guti, who are you? And if you're able to answer that question without mentioning, Guti, I am Dr. Whoever, I am who like with like based on your role, and we are Kabanguti, then you have a lot of work. Yeah, you need to start working. And yeah, like if like who are you if we take away what your roles and responsibilities? If the question like again so then yeah, you need to start working. Like you need to start finding your identity in Christ. And what my point of my story, the other thing I have found out, Suguti, what you identify yourself as can cause a lot of limitations. Like if you don't identify yourself like according to what God says you are, and isn't this it causes a lot of limitations because maybe you have identified yourself as this. I also started finding my identity in other things. I started telling myself, because you know what? No, I have social anxiety. I can't. But here I am right now. I'm standing here. But if I carried on with that identity, I wouldn't be here, which was going to limit me from a lot of things. It was going to limit me from growth, from my abilities. And I just kept on baptizing myself in the things that, enge collab. And if your identity is not built on a firm foundation, then reps, like literally, then reps because and also we have only one firm foundation, which is God, which is Christ. That's the only firm foundation we have. If you build your identity on other things, you are gonna sink. You're gonna keep sinking and falling, and then finding your identity in other things again and again and again. One day, I was supposed to go to my friend's house, but then I was like, no, I don't wanna go. My mom asked me, Guti, why? Marayaza bazali. He asked me, Guti, why ngafuna ukuhamba? And I was like, no, I need to find myself. Hey guys, umamthi wangitshela ukuthi, hey, now ehlezi usifinder young. And I was like, Uthi every weekend he has finder. I'm like, so obviously that got me thinking. I had to think about it. Uthi kanjani, but she didn't die, because I didn't build my foundation on like a firm foundation. So I continuously had to go and find new things, as identifier ngayo, find new words, new trends, new something ezongenza ngifeel ngathi I am that girl. So it also says in 1 Corinthians 3, verse 11. For no one can lay any foundation other than the one we already have, Jesus Christ. Like point blank, nothing hectic. It's just the way it is, you know? And it also all starts with knowing that we're just spirits having a human experience. So finding your identity in the things of the world will only satisfy your flesh, right? But it can also confuse your spirit because who are you really if we take away all the worldly things? You know, like who are you really? And as soon as you know your identity in Christ, you will not be consumed by anything of this world, right? Even Romans 12, wait, let me go there. Romans 12, verse 2, it says, do not copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. You know, like there's nothing more than that. There's nothing, you know. And when you find out who you are, um, outside what you can do anything. Literally. Like I don't think you guys heard me. When you find out who you are outside what you can do anything. Like don't let your identity be rooted in your roles and responsibilities. And we need to stop letting the world and our circumstances and the things of the world decide who we are because we're going to be lost in that. Solid example, poverty. You know, like if you continuously identify yourself as poor and don't see anything outside that, then you're not allowing your situation to change because you're rooting yourself into that. Like you're continuously speaking life into it. You're continuously like you're letting it grow. You're being comfortable in that. It also it applies to other things such as depression, anxiety, stress. If you continue saying stress, I'm in stress, you allowing it to be comfortable, like you're allowing stress and all of that to be comfortable in your place because, I mean, that's what you identify yourself as, and you're just comfortable in identifying yourself as that, you know. And if maybe you didn't like, you haven't maybe baptized yourself in those situations, but you always actually find yourself in those situations, you actually you need to stop finding your identity in the labels that you carry, you know. Even like with us, like it doesn't matter ukuthi umncane umdala uwenzeni, like color of your skin, it goes a long way, it goes with that. It doesn't matter ukuthi um you don't have whatever or you have whatever, because sometimes um the labels that we carry can change our identity. As in, like, yes, you are that doctor. Yes, una, so you have like a high standard or whatever. But the way you treat people and the way you go about everything, does it really say that about you? Like, are you really that good person that you tell yourself if this is how you treat people, or just because you continuously expect to be treated the way you identify yourself as, but are you really that person? I don't know if you guys get me. And if your heart is not filled entirely with Jesus, you will seek things to fill parts of your heart that only Jesus can fill. If you don't fully find and know your identity in Christ, you are going to continuously look for your identity in other things. Then you will be disappointed when you can't when they can't give it to you and or treat you the way you think you're supposed to be treated. Which is like you can maybe get into a friendship and expect to be like, even a relationship, you know, like everything, and expect to be treated in a sense of like, if you're not treated the way you think you're supposed to be treated, like worthy, or you constantly want to be valued or anything, I mean, it was never another human's job to give you your identity. It was never your job to find your own identity, you know, or fill your heart the way God can. And the spots in your heart, the longing to be loved, longing to be seen, longing to be validated, longing to be worthy, and everything is a God-shaped heart in your it's a God-shaped spot in your heart that only he can feel. And we start, obviously you can't feel that spot with things that don't belong there, because there's this, it's just, it can't happen. And people pleasing. You start doing things you're not comfortable with doing continuously to prove a point. You start, you're gonna, njengoba bashizo right now ukuthi you're gonna go into the wrong education stream, because you want to prove continuously because I'm a smart girl, so ngizothatha physics, ngithathe life science, ngithathe yonke lento leyo, but I know ukuthi it's beyond my power. I'm just gonna take it because I need to prove a point, because I constantly need to be seen, I constantly need to be valued. Ngiyohamba ngithathe imali yesishivo ngiyothenga i-frontal, because because I need to be seen, like sengiphilela lo angisaphileli okunye. It's that itself is a God-shaped spot in your heart that only he can feel, literally only he can feel. And it starts with the littlest things. It starts with the littlest things, and it goes on and on and on. And if you don't know who you are, the devil will take advantage of you. Literally, the devil will take advantage of you, because, and also, we do know that the devil is not like the big old creature, a red in the horns and everything. It's it comes in gashi, anomal. The devil will take advantage of you, and it'll he will constantly tell you ukuthi wenzeni and wenzeni, because obviously you'll fall for that because you don't know your identity like that. You don't know who you are. So you're obviously gonna let the world control you. If party, this is the newest trend and awuyi ngaloko, uzogijimiye ngapha, ugijimiye ngapha. It goes back to building your foundation, you building your identity on a firm foundation. Because sometimes we think it's a firm foundation because it lasts us for a while. If ufila ngathi manje ngiyasho ukuthi you should build your identity on a firm foundation, and you feel like, you know what, no, it's a firm foundation because I've been like ngihlezi la for 16 years yonke solo ngikule foundation le. If it's not Jesus Christ, raps, and it literally raps. There's no other way, raps. Raps. I can't explain it any other way. If your identity is not built on Jesus Christ, raps. And and you know what the nice part is? If you find out who you are, then everything around you, everything that happens around you is a bonus. Literally. If you know who you are and you know who you are from foundation yakho, which is Jesus Christ, everything that happens around you is a bonus. Imagine being like 8 years of study Sheila to be a doctor is a bonus. Like, you're a whole doctor. It's a bonus. How worthy are you? Like, how awesome is that? Like how awesome is that? Everything else is a bonus. But yeah, that's about it. Angifuni ukukhuluma kakhulu. Angifuni ukukhuluma kakhulu. Angifuni ukukhuluma kakhulu. I don't want to get you guys thinking, ukuthi in. And I'm not saying whatever you have or your roles and responsibilities are useless. I'm just saying, ukuthi, if that's what you identify yourself as, raps. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I mean, I know this because I've been told, hey, you find out every day. Find out every day if you don't build your identity on a firm foundation. Like, I can't emphasize this enough. I can't explain it enough how important it is to find your identity in Christ. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter ukuthi ufila ngathi like uyazikhona manje, or you feel like, you know what, ngiyayazi lento engiyenzayo man, ngiyazazi ngila. Guys, I promise you, uzani mina ngiyazi.